Hi, welcome to Healthy Living. I'm Dr. Donald Pelto, and I have Ron Ernenwine here and Julie here. Ron is the owner of AA Transportation Company, and Julie does everything pretty much, both in the business and another business that you guys have with horses. So I'd like to welcome both of you here today to Healthy Living.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah. So you're both very entrepreneurial, and we're going to talk today a little bit about business and health and how to have a balance, because it's something that you've got to now or you're working on right now, but it hasn't always been that way. So tell me a little bit about your businesses and your story in terms of your company.
Sure. AA Transportation I founded in 1996. It was a startup for me with about 25 employees. Over the years, we've grown it to over 500 employees now. Primarily, we do school buses, and we do home-to-school transportation for 17 towns in the Worcester area. So we're transporting about 35,000 students to school every day.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big business.
It is.
And did you have experience in the transportation industry before, or how did you get involved in it?
Well, I actually got my start working in the maintenance department.
Fixing the vehicles?
Fixing cars, yeah. I work for a Ford dealer. And I have my associate's degree from Quinsig. At the time they had, excuse me.
It's fine.
They had a program sponsored by Ford Motor Company. So I did a co-op with a Ford dealer, and I worked there for a while. I was headhunted by a family that owned a school bus company to run their maintenance department. And soon after I began, they started having some trouble, and they really downsized. I was able to take that as an opportunity to expand my responsibilities to almost like a general manager type position, where I get to learn about the bidding and the insurance and all the different aspects. When they went out of business, I was stuck thinking, well, now I need a job. So I was able to acquire one contract and started with that. I did a startup and was able to expand it over the years.
Wow, that's it's kind of an interesting industry, and to expand it that much, was it slow? Was it like one additional contract per year type of a thing, or was it a?
Well, we did, we were able to bid some work, soon after the startup, and then we did acquire, there were two businesses that I bought along the way, so those were kind of a little easier to do than starting from scratch.
Yeah. And so for people that are here in Shrewsbury, you're going to see a lot of these buses driving around, most of them that take all the kids to school and things like that. In terms of the business, were you always balanced like you are now, or tell us the story. Okay.
Heck no. We went through period of time where we just, Julie and I just worked so much, and it affected our personal lives where we weren't able to really take time for us. So all those long work days were taking their toll. So a few years back, we made the decision where Julie was going to step aside from the business, and I literally had to hire 4 different people to fill her spot.
Wow, that shows how much she was doing.
Yeah, exactly. But the good part of that was that I was able to even more departmentize things. A lot of things fell under the umbrella of what she was doing. And now to have other individuals doing just pieces of it, it took more off of me. So I was able to loosen up my work hours and my work schedule. And now when I can get away, we're able to do things together.
Get away together. Yeah. That's neat. Yeah. And then along with this, where you started to be more interested, I guess during those maybe startup years, 5, 10 years, however many it was, you probably weren't taking care of yourself and your health. You were just working, eating whatever, and that was taking a toll as well on your health.
Yeah, for sure.
And then something happened. Was it at the same time when you kind of switched to having managers, and then all of a sudden you could start taking care of your health? Is that how that happened?
Well, for me, the red flags were coming up with my doctor's visits. And we went from doing yearly physicals to going every 3 to 6 months. My cholesterol was off the map. My blood sugars were creeping up.
So you were pre-diabetic?
I was pre-diabetic, yeah. And the process, the doctor, your primary care would give you the regular standard advice, diet and exercise.
Yeah. And did that work for you?
And no, it didn't. It was so frustrating, because we thought we were eating well, but that I guess that means something different for each individual. For me, eating well was not what I thought it was, and it was so frustrating because you know, the more I exercised and the more I tried, it seemed like the more the sugar levels went up.
And you were doing a
And-
lot of hours of exercising.
Yeah, yeah. I got to the point where I was going to kick this thing because I really didn't want to go on meds.
So you were
So
going to defeat. I'm
I
going to
was-
defeat it with exercise. That's what you thought.
Yeah. So I did more and more and more. You know, I was lifting every day, running 5 miles a day, and sometimes I would do another cardio session, like on the elliptical, for another 40 minutes at night. And I, you know, was so excited. I'm like, oh, I got this thing, and I'm going to
Yeah.
go back to the doctor, get my blood tested. And they're like, well, you know, you got to do better. It went up again. And I got to the point
How
where,
frustrating.
yeah, my A1C was at a 6.4, and they said, it goes up one more notch. We really got to start you on meds. And I'm like, what the heck?
What else can I do?
Yeah, what can I do? And it was right around that time that, you know, we made contact with Bonnie LaFrac at the Fitness Asylum, and we started getting involved with some of her programs, and that was just life-changing. I mean,
So you switched from maybe going to the gym every day and running every day to the like a boot camp type of a thing, or boxing, or something else like that.
Exactly. And along with that, we did one of her challenges. And
So for those that are listening, explain a little bit about what a challenge is.
well, Bonnie offers a lot of different types of challenges. You know, different lengths. You know, she does a 30-day. She does like I did the 12-week.
Body challenge.
Yeah, the body challenge,
Yeah.
which was, I forget what they called it. It was, you know, beach ready or something like that. But the point is that you go there and everything's outlined for you. You don't have to think about how many calories I'm going to eat, or figuring out macronutrients, or, geez, how many grams of proteins in this meal. You know, she literally hands you a map and do this.
Do this and
Yeah.
you'll be successful.
It took all the thinking out of it.
Was it
Like,
hard? Was it
I could
hard
do
to
this.
eat that way? And how many workouts was it? Was it every day, or was it only?
For that challenge, I think we were doing 3 to 5 workouts a week, and I always go over the top and do a little extra anyways. It's my personality. But the real key is the diet, and just to have that in front of you and just do this. It's so simple. You just do what's on the paper. And of course, you get a coach with it, and you know, we do check-ins, and she's with
Weigh-ins
you
and
the
things.
whole
Yeah.
time. You know, making adjustments if need be. You can ask questions. She'd outline what supplements she recommended, and it really takes all the science out of it.
Yeah, you just
when-
kind of obey.
yeah, yeah. When you look at some of this stuff, it gets overwhelming with information and data, and all kinds of different options, and this just simplified it. So when I get done with that challenge, not only did I lose, I think over the 12 weeks on that particular one, I lost about 15 pounds, but my A1C all of a sudden dropped. And at this point today, I'm 5.2, which is, you know, perfectly normal.
Yeah.
And I stopped taking my cholesterol meds, and you know, my body weight is, I'm probably 50 pounds less than I was when I started with
Did
the
the
fitness
first challenge.
Yeah.
And Julie, what was your experience? Did you do the challenge together, that first one?
That first one we did not.
He did it.
He did it alone, yeah.
What did you think when he was doing it? You were just watching him?
Yeah, he did it with my oldest daughter, Kaylee.
Uh-huh.
They did it together. They both had a few pounds to lose. And they wanted, you know, to be a little more active without being as winded during their activity levels. So they did it together, and they did very well.
And
I
were
was
you-
very proud of them.
Yeah, and were you, but you guys were cooking together. Did you have to change the way you eat to eat like he was eating, or did you already eat well?
Not necessarily. So for Ron, when he says he ate healthy, or what his version of eating healthy, he'd probably eat chicken every day, but he'd have barbecue sauce all over it.
Okay.
So it was just adjusting some of the things that he was doing, and removing very little, because he really did eat healthy, but it was the extra added stuff that he would put on the healthy food that was
Yeah.
kind of throwing him off kilter.
Yeah, kind of like coffee, but all the cream and sugar. you put
Exactly,
into the chicken with the
exactly. And he
barbecue
learned to
sauce.
drink coffee black, and he loves it now. Now he can't imagine having it with cream and sugar. So it was different things like that we tweaked, and he did great with it.
And what was the experience of your daughter? How was her experience there?
Excellent, excellent. She's taken off, oh my goodness. I think she's probably taken off about 50 pounds, and it's never come back on. And she says she'll never go back there. She didn't like feeling like that.
Okay, and that's the question. That's what I was going to ask. A lot of people, they might do a challenge. They might do these boot camp challenges for 6 weeks or for 12 weeks, and they lose a whole bunch of weight, like the Biggest Loser contest. But a lot of times, if you look at the Biggest Loser, they'll gain it all back. Was there any rebound or regain, or were you able to maintain and continue on? And what's the secret to doing that?
Well, so with the body challenge, no, I was able to keep the weight off. And Julie and her other daughter, Georgia, started to do some of the bikini challenges where they actually get on stage and compete.
Yeah.
So she's done that probably 8 or 9 times now over the past 3 years or so. And when you're doing a stage diet, you're getting lean to the point where it's not a normal walk around every day kind of lean. It's for a purpose, for the show.
Yeah.
So you do have to reverse diet out of that.
Okay, let's talk, or one of you can talk about that. What is the bikini challenge like? So there's for the men it's called the physique challenge, and for the females it's the bikini. Basically, it's a way, I guess, to get ready for the beach. But how is it? What does it include? Is it possible? Is it hard?
It's mentally hard for people that don't have complete control over their eating in the first place.
Okay.
So we had been trying to be healthy for so many years. I think it's a little easier because we don't binge eat. We don't go out for suppers. If we go out for supper, once a month to have something unhealthy, that would be a stretch saying that. So we eat a lot of clean food. So for us to transition into that bikini diet and run the physique diet, I don't think it was as strenuous as it would be for somebody else. But as the weeks go on, and this January I start another one, which is 18 weeks.
Okay.
So you start off, you're around 2,500 calories a
So
day.
for people that are listening, what does a typical person need per day? Is it about?
2,000? Yeah, well, I guess it kind of depends on the activity level of the person. But a sedentary woman could be, and see, a lot of people get caught in this trap where they forget to eat. They're too busy to eat.
Yep.
They don't want to eat. They're not hungry to eat. And people like that can really wreak havoc on their metabolic systems because they'll sit down and they'll have one meal, and it'll be a 500-calorie meal, and then some snacks later, and that's it. That's all they're eating during the course of the day.
And so basically, if your metabolism's up here, it's going to ramp down, meaning
Right.
you're going
Yeah.
to feel cold. You're not going to burn as much.
Right. So the body adapts. It's quite adaptive to what we give it. And we're here for the longevity. I mean, it's systematically we want to survive. So as they're dumbing down their diet, so to speak, and they're going down to 800, 900 calories, their body adjusts to that quite readily within a couple of weeks. So, an average active person who's well aware of their metabolic rate, they can, a woman should be doing 2,000 calories a day. A man would be obviously more, yeah. But if it's not that type of individual, and it's an individual that, works long hours, leads a sedentary lifestyle, sits in front of the TV a lot, doesn't get out and get active even on weekends, could be quite low.
And so she starts you with more calories or foods, and then you restrict it towards the time where you get on the stage, and that's just for a designated purpose.
Right. And she'll tell the women that join the team, because the majority of it is women. Ron was actually, aside from the firefighters that she did last year, Ron was the first man who's ever joined the team.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was kind of the icon.
Well, being
as he
almost
always
50
is.
years old, I never really envisioned myself going on stage for a bodybuilding contest.
Yeah.
So this was outside my comfort
I was
zone.
going to say,
Yeah.
But we decided.
Yeah. Despite
We decided, so she got
yeah. So Julie's done several of these, and she loves it, the thrill of it, and she's done really well with it. In fact, most recently, she just got her pro status. So for me, I wasn't really sure I wanted to do it. The exercise and the diet, that's a gimme. We do that anyways.
Yeah.
But the stage thing, I was really hesitant.
Because you don't like to show off. Probably not a person that shows off and things like that. And not that you're showing off, but I think it's a goal that you're working towards.
So despite my objections, we decided this was a great idea, a great couples activity. And it actually was. It actually was. And I got to say, the support that I received, from my teammates, through the fitness asylum and from Bonnie, was amazing. I really wasn't expecting that type of experience, so I certainly can relate to why, she enjoys it so much.
The community, right?
Yeah, the community, being around like-minded people and getting support. And there's a private Facebook page that everybody, can post comments and questions on, and tell their story and get feedback. So, that piece of it is invaluable. In the process. To think that you're going to go out and do this on your own, Well,
You
I
could.
suppose you could, but man,
Why would you?
You need the community.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what we're going to put up for those that are watching now is we're going to put up kind of the before and after of both of them. Actually, we have the after pictures. You can see the both of them here. And now we're going to put up the kind of the, Ron, he sent me the before and after picture so you can kind of see this. So quite a bit of change. You know, you can't see with all their clothes on, but
Yeah.
And so it's a pretty amazing thing that happened. It's
Yeah,
kind of-
and this recent challenge we did was a 12-week challenge. It started in August. In that time, to my stage weight for my check-in, I was 28 pounds down.
Wow.
Yeah.
28 pounds.
Yeah.
And that's just so people that are watching, you're not going to keep it that 28 below. You're going to.
Right, right.
That's really.
There's some degree of dehydration for the
Dehydration
stage, so that comes back pretty quickly. But you know, the whole idea is build muscle and lose fat and be leaner and be, you know, so you know, we work hard at it.
Neat.
Yeah.
Neat. So that's great. And we did talk a little bit about this other kind of idea that you're starting to do now about the intermittent fasting thing. I guess you're doing it and you're not. So let's talk a little bit about what your experience is, because I know some people, they eat well, but they're still not seeing the gains. But this intermittent fasting, and intermittent fasting, you're talking about, I think, calorie restriction is something different than intermittent fasting. So if you could talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. I did intermittent fasting before I knew intermittent fasting was a thing.
Okay.
So I wasn't always that person that was super hungry in the morning. And so I often went without eating breakfast. But, you know, through the course of vlogs and videos and podcasts and things like that, I've learned a lot about the benefits of intermittent fasting.
Yeah, so talk about first what it is, and then what are some of the benefits?
So there's a window that you would give yourself to eat, and a lot of people choose an 8-hour window because it's just easier for people to eat in a shorter window span than to wake up at 6 a.m. and have a breakfast immediately and then eat every couple of hours after that. For the average person, that's
not convenient.
Yeah, it's not convenient. You have children to run around. You have games to go to. You have work, you know, things that you have to schedule that you just can't say, I'm going to devote this, even if it's only 5 minutes, I'm going to devote this 5 minutes to my eating habits. So for me, it was easier throughout almost my adult life to just go without food in the morning. And I would actually have my first meal around noontime. Now that I know a little bit more about intermittent fasting, I eat around 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay.
And by 10 o'clock at night, I need to be done. And I don't typically eat at 10 o'clock at night. So that's a little bit of, it's a little bit off the scale for the intermittent fasting diet, only because I know that if I'm eating at 10 o'clock at night, those are calories that are just going to sit there throughout the course of the night, and I don't want them.
Yeah.
For me, it works because I like to eat in the afternoon. I don't like to eat in the morning. And if I ate in the morning and then ate throughout the course of the day, by 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I'd be going, but I'm still hungry. I want to eat. Now, at 7 o'clock at night, when I sit down, I'd like to pick on a piece of chicken or something as I'm mindlessly watching one of our sitcoms.
Yeah, yeah.
So for me, it works. For Ron, it does not.
Yeah, I have to keep my metabolism fired up, so I need to eat all the time.
Okay, so
and
you
that's
do
been the key.
A lot of small meals.
Yeah, exactly, and that's been the key for me. You know, the bigger meals less frequently, my body kind of tends to hold on to stuff.
Okay.
So you know, keeping that metabolism going has been, you know, important for my success.
Yeah, you have to find
sure.
what works for you, and I think there's different phases. I know some people do the intermittent window. Some people do multiple day fast. There are some other benefits which are kind of interesting in terms of mental, in terms of cancer, in terms of things like that.
Yeah, I've read some of the information and
I share it.
Yeah,
all the time. I share it.
It's amazing to hear how. You know, if you do fast for a while, you know, your body just takes away the weakest cells.
Correct. Kills it's autophagy, right?
Yeah.
Kills off the dead or weakened cells.
The weakest
which
link,
typically would be your cells that cause problems, like the cancer cells.
Yeah.
So I think that, you know, in the future we're going to hear more about this because, you know, the studies have shown that it works.
Yeah. The neat thing about intermittent fasting is it's easy. It doesn't cost any money. It doesn't take any time. There's no cleanup after it. But you have to research a little bit more. For me, it's not a new idea. It's been around ages. People always, all the biggest religions fasted for periods of time. the Christian religion, Lent, the Muslim, the Ramadan.
Right.
There was always that fasting. You can still drink, though, liquids in this. You can drink, what are things you can eat or drink during the fasting?
So, you know, from my studies, what I found is that on a true fast, you don't break the fast with anything. You literally have water.
Okay.
You don't have coffee or anything else that you introduce during the course of the fast.
Okay.
For me, I love coffee. I have to have caffeine on a fast. Not only is it an appetite suppressant, but I don't know that I could go a day without coffee any longer.
You get the headache.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. I would love to do a 24-hour, 36-hour fast, but you know, kudos to the people that can. That's a hard thing to do. People don't realize that I'm just not going to eat tomorrow. I'm just going to have water all day.
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing to do.
One of the keys, if people are trying to do longer fasts, is keeping busy.
Yeah.
If you're not busy, it's really hard because you go to the fridge, you eat snack on this, you snack on that. Another thing that helps that they recommend a lot, again, there's different ways. Some are totally no liquid, no water. That's a little bit harder because you get dehydrated. I find the ones that work a little bit better are the water, the coffee, and then something called bone broth. So basically it's what our grandparents did. They took bones, they boil them, and then you make this high fat, because fat doesn't raise your glucose and it doesn't raise your insulin. And so you can kind of go a little bit longer.
And it
with
satiates
bone broth.
you.
And it makes you full.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Makes you full. Good.
Yeah,
So that's kind of the health component. Any other health components that you guys want to talk about, or any other health tips that you want to give people watching?
Well, I just, again, from my experience, is finding the balance. Everything in moderation, and, you know, for our relationship, you know, finding the time to take, and we do this together. So,
That's nice.
you know, we're working out together 4 or 5 times a week. And we're eating the same, so we're meal planning together. You know, on Sundays we're cooking together.
We haven't touched about meal prep. When I was doing certain types of things, I think meal prep was 100%, because if you don't have food, you're going to eat whatever. So how does meal prep work for you guys?
Well, you know, we'll look at our diet plan for the week and, you know, figure out, you know, how many meals we need each day and, you know, what's going to be in them. And, you know, we'll go to the store on Sunday morning and get all our supplies and come home, and we'll cook 2 or 3 days out and have our little, you know, plastic packages that are ready to go. So when I go to work, I've got my 3 or 4 meals that come with me, and that is key. If you don't do that, you're not going to be successful. There's absolutely no way that you can eat that frequently and eat the right things if you're leaving it to chance.
You're going to eat whatever.
Yeah, you know, if we're going to take a trip, you know, in the car for a couple hours, we're going to drive to the Cape or something like that, you know, we literally have to bring our meals with us.
Yeah.
It's the only way it works.
On the flip side of that, which I find is something interesting, I know with the challenges, they're really restrictive in terms of what you can eat and can't eat in terms of breads and sugars and things like that. You cut everything out. What I like about the fasting component is, for example, if it's a Friday night and I'm going to have friends come over for dinner, you're going to enjoy the time with your friends. You're going to have a dessert.
Right.
And so with the fasting component, what works well is that no matter what I eat during the day, I'm always going to eat too much.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so I find what's helpful is I skip breakfast, I skip lunch, and then I just enjoy the dinner with my friends. And I enjoy it much. In food, I don't know if you've done the fasting. Food tastes better after you've fasted for a longer
Oh,
period
it
of time.
absolutely
It just
does.
it just tastes so much
Your
better.
palate
Yeah.
is cleansed,
Yeah,
yes.
for sure.
We use it, I use it, I shouldn't say we use it. I use it the exact opposite of you. So if I know friends are coming over,
Yeah.
and I might overindulge on a Friday evening, then Saturday I'll go without eating at all.
day after?
Yeah, the day after
Okay.
I clean it. So I just feel like, okay, I got all these toxins and
It's the
things that are
guilt
in my
kicking in.
system. Yeah, so the following day I will
That's a
fast.
good way, and you can do either before or after.
Yeah.
And you know, the funny thing about that is, you know, as you said, you have cravings and whatnot. Your palate changes based on what you eat. Now, there's some studies out there that show it's relative to the type of bacteria that you're growing in your gut. And that bacteria from the processed food starts to die off, and it's sending a signal to your brain saying, hey, feed us, eat more of that bad stuff, because, you know, our little colony here is dying.
Yeah.
But once you get over the hump and you cleanse your system, those cravings kind of go away.
For sugar, pretty much, right?
Yeah, for sugar
Sugar's
or
the
even
main-
processed
food.
food, you know, fried food or things like that. And it's funny because, you know, when we go on one of these challenges, there's certain things like, oh, I really, miss, whatever it may be. And then you kind of crave it. And at the end of the challenge, when you get to have it, it's like, it's not as good as I remembered. And like, I don't even want to eat it all. You know.
Yeah.
We've done that a few times after.
Just last weekend we went to a Mercy Meal. One of
Do you
our
guys do
friends'
cheat
parents
meals, or do you do cheat meals? I know
We do now.
that. Now
Yeah,
you do?
so we do now. When we're on that type of a diet,
Explain what a cheat meal is.
when we're on that type of a diet for the stage, there are no cheat meals
Okay,
involved in that.
no cheat meals for the
because it's just you've got to get stage lean within a certain amount, a window. So there's no cheating involved in that. But now that on our typical life, yes, we have cheat meals.
Okay.
And we try and control that by only having one a week. But
One a week,
a lot of times that's not realistic. Like this week with Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving, yep.
Yeah.
It is just not realistic to think
Something
that we are
bad's
only
going to
gonna-
happen.
we are only going to have one cheat meal. The odds are he's going to have a cheat meal and a piece of pie.
Yep.
And he'll probably do it again the second day with the leftovers. And it's just fact. I mean,
Yeah.
we cannot possibly control ourselves 24/7,
Yeah.
and you have to give yourself a little leeway.
And that's the thing. A lot of these diets and philosophies, they have to be good forever, and it's really
Right.
impossible. You can do it in the short term,
Right.
maybe for 12 weeks or a couple of months, and you see the
Right.
gains. But then then you fall off, and that's where I think having that balance is important, like you said.
Yeah, you definitely have to have a balance, and you have to be realistic. And for us, I think that's the point of continuing with the challenges. So we're going to start another challenge in January
That's nice.
and get back on track.
It's accountability, kind
It
of.
absolutely is. When you have to check in with Bonnie and you send her your pictures every week, he's like, oh no, I have to make the right choices here, or else I have to explain myself. So it really does change the dynamic of doing it. Just to go on a quote diet, thinking that you can do it on your own, it's completely different. I think one of the elements of the whole puzzle is that we eat socially, and you go out to dinner as as an entertainment, as a thing to do with your friends, your family, and when you're trying to be good with your diet and follow your plan, and you have all these influences, that's really the challenge.
The external influences.
Yeah.
The holidays like Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
going out with friends.
Yeah, the social aspect of it. So we have to be careful of who we go out with and make sure.
But that's where I agree with Julie. Is the fasting makes it so much easier because
Yeah.
I'm not guilty because
Right.
I want to enjoy my time with my friends. Well,
Yeah.
do it before or after just makes it
Yeah.
easier.
I sat down to plan out our workouts this week because it's Thanksgiving. So we're not working out on Thursday because I host Thanksgiving.
so you have to
So
go
I
to
it just,
cooking.
And I know I'll be doing Black Friday shopping on Friday. So there'll be no working out that day either. So we had to ramp up our workout
Preload it.
schedules. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're preloading
exactly.
is what we're doing,
Yeah.
yes.
You get the total in for
Well,
the week.
good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Ron. Thank you, Julie, for coming to the show, and look forward to hearing more from you.
Oh,
Thank you.
You as well.